It's showtime, folks. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Thursday. We are live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. It is a rainy Thursday in Nashville, but that's okay. We're having a good time. Hope you're having a good time and a good day so far. Big Joe is here. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier is on the ones and twos back of the studio. Hi, JoJo.
What's happening, man? Yeah, it's raining, but it's all right. We have 2 more days left in the worst month of the year, and from this moment on, it's perfect. It is all downhill, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. So stay safe out there on the roads and don't drive too fast, all that stuff. But went to the Preds game last night. Unfortunately, they came up short against the Vancouver Canucks. Just could not put the puck in the back of the net, and Vancouver gets the win.
Is it over? Be honest. I'm going to ask Wyshynski at 9:30.
Yeah, I mean, if you're being realistic, yes. I don't think they're going to go down without a fight. I mean, I just think that's the way this team's wired. That's the way the coach is wired, the GM's wired. Like, they're not going to just,
no, nobody's going to give up. No,
but Trotz has been very clear that if he thinks there is if there's something there, then he's going to keep fighting and keep pushing. If there isn't, then it's not that he's going to give up, but he's going to start looking at how he can improve this team for the future.
As he should.
And so, there's guys like Gus Nyquist is on the last year of his contract. I would say he's going to be sought after at the deadline. The teams that are in contention are going to want somebody like Nyquist that can help them. Sissons is another one that has a team-friendly contract that,
right?
You could kind of go either way. Like, if you get something for him, you can make that move. But
I just hate it because hockey in those playoff late April, May, it's fun.
It is.
It's so much fun.
I think we all thought with this, and rightfully so. Like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They made those big moves in free agency and coming off what I think is the proper phrase, a little bit of an overachievement based on, what they said going into last year was, look, we're kind of resetting. We're not rebuilding, but we're trying to reset and develop our new core, for the next few years. So we don't really know how we're going to be. We don't, Trotz was like, I don't really know how this season's going to go. We could be, bad. We could be decent. Like,
right. Yeah.
And I think they overachieved, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that was really good,
right?
That they did that, and so everybody got excited about that and thought, okay, maybe they're a little further along than we initially thought, and they can, then build on that and add these guys to the mix, and then kind of see where it goes. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, I think the further the season goes, and I'm going to ask Wyshynski about this too. I kind of think I know what the reason was. It just took more time than anybody thought for this group to mesh.
Nobody saw that. I mean, people are like, you got these guys coming here, they're superstars.
Yeah, but like, I feel dumb because we should have. Like, Steven Stamkos is one of the greatest players of all time. He played in one place most of the time with the same people.
Right.
Right. And so
we're all hindsight's 2020, man.
We sat here and thought, okay, we're going to pluck him out of the only situation he has ever known, uproot his family, move everybody to Nashville, put him on a team with guys he's never played with, and expect him to just be Steven Stamkos. And that was wrong to think that. I mean, but everybody did. And I think you had to give it a lot more time. Now you're seeing Steven Stamkos. And now you're seeing Jonathan. I mean, he's not the only one. Marchessault's the same way. Shea's the same way. Now you're kind of seeing it, but it's probably too little too late. Now, what makes me excited is, now that they're kind of comfortable and now they kind of know the system and they know each other, does it work next year? Do you make some tweaks here and there and then get geared up for next year?
It's a great point. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but disappointed in that as well. All right, Chaser.
You're ready? You ready to move on?
I am, because they're done. that team's done.
Okay.
And all right, so we talked about this last night. You were at the game and everything. 25 years ago today, Nick Frazier hit it.
Final play of the game. In
Oh,
regulation. It is caught by Dyson. Can he get in? No, he cannot. Mike Jones made the tackle. And the Rams have won the Super Bowl.
No lie, the game is over. The game is over.
Jason McKay, where were you on this day 25 years ago?
I was at my house, and I was had been running all over the house. It was just me and my mom. There was no Super Bowl party or anything. I was 12. So I was a sixth grader, not at FRA yet. I was at St. Paul Christian Academy. And so I had been running back and forth from downstairs to my room to my mom's room. And I remember watching that final play. I was standing in my mom's room, and I was like, we're gonna win this game. Like, we're gonna tie it up. It's gonna go to overtime. We're gonna win the Super Bowl. And I was all in. And like so many, Titans fans that have been the day ones.
Yep.
It was that feeling. It was like, we're gonna do this. There was no they're gonna. It was we. Like, it was all, all for one. And they had that magical run, with the miracle and all that stuff. And I think I was on the phone with my dad, actually. And when Dyson caught that ball, I'm like, here he goes. And McNair had just made that unbelievable play.
Yeah.
And he and Dyson catches it. I'm like, here we go. And when he was 1 yard short, I cried. I did. I was just like, I was.
Well, a lot of people did.
I was devastated.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. 25 years ago. So the question today is not, because there's some of our audience that weren't born yet or too young to remember, but just what did that do? And we'll have Rudy Kalis on at 10:30 from the perspective of Nashville and covering sports and what this did for the city. But I was at the Wild Horse. Because remember, there was a big storm coming through, ice storm coming through Nashville that weekend. So a lot of our crew in Atlanta got called back here to Nashville to work because we were just sitting around in Atlanta. So I was at the Wild Horse watching that, and people thought he scored.
Yeah.
So people at the Wild Horse went crazy, thought it was a touchdown, and the game was tied, which it wouldn't have been. You still had to kick an extra point. So it was chaotic, and people on the streets going crazy. It was the worst night in television news history. And I've written about this before because at our station, it was chaos. Absolute chaos, what we're trying to do. But thoughts of, had they won, what would it have done for the city? Was it too much in the first year to get to the Super Bowl? Should McNair thrown the ball in the end zone, which of course he should have. It's last play of the game. You always throw into the end zone. Heath Schuler, 1992, South Carolina, Tennessee. But it was one of those moments where you go back like, I should have done this, should have done that. Wasn't Chris wide open?
Chris was wide open. Wycheck was open. So I go back and I've talked to Chris about this play. I've talked to Derek about this play. I think we've even asked Fisher about it before. And like, hindsight's 2020, and it's you're moving and everything. But I get trying to go to Dyson because he was your best receiver.
Yeah.
At that point in time, he was your best receiver. The Rams had kind of taken. I know Eddie scored a couple of touchdowns to put the Titans back into it, but the Rams did a really good job containing Eddie in that game. And so you're not going to run at that point anyway. I think they knew the ball was going to Dyson. And so I kind of look back and think that was the perfect opportunity to use Dyson as a decoy.
Right. The ball was on the 10.
Yeah.
I'm looking right now at it.
Yeah. And man.
Chris and somebody up to the left, Eddie's to the left. Eddie was covered. But you know what? I mean, if Mike Jones isn't there, it's a touchdown.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just a hell of a play by Mike Jones.
And the Rams defense was absolutely gassed. I mean,
done.
Kevin Carter, who was with the Rams at the time, and I mean, he said this before. I mean, he was sucking wind. Like, he barely could stand up.
Well, there's that scene in the NFL films. Dick Vermeil looks over to his right and is like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I can't breathe, coach." He's like, what does he say? It's a Super Bowl. Get back in there. He's like, I can't breathe. I mean, they were done. Him and Grant Wistrom and DeMarco Farr. That line just, I mean, you couldn't stop. And McNair cemented himself as an absolute legend. after that.
Yep.
And that's why he's so revered for what he did on the football field. I'm not
That-
getting everything else.
I will never forget that play that was either a play or two before the end of the game. He is absolutely dead to rights. Like he should have been sacked.
Yeah.
There is no way in hell he should have gotten out of that.
Right.
I mean, he was almost taken down like 3 times on that play.
Right.
And he's tiptoeing, dancing, stays up, and makes that play. And that was the moment for me. You want to ask a question of the day? Because remember, in the early days, Eddie was the guy, and a lot of people didn't like McNair. He had not, and there were
You're
other
right.
there were other things.
There were a lot of boos happening over there.
But he had not grabbed the city yet. That was the moment for me when he made, even in a loss, when he made that play. I remember being like, I want a number 9 jersey. That's my guy.
Yeah, he was a warrior in that thing, man. And that was amazing too, because you look at, the Oiler, the 97-98 at Vanderbilt, nobody cared. And then it just hit at 99. It was the perfect storm of everything that went on. And also, did it happen too soon? You haven't been back yet.
Yeah.
It happened. The 2000 team was, I think we all know, much better than the 99 team, but you better be lucky than good. And you go back, look at that game and all that happened and the crazy week and the run they went on, the Music City Miracle, them beating Indianapolis, beating Jacksonville, only a week. It's the last time there was only a week between the championship game and the Super Bowl, which is BS. And it just happened. But I want to hear people's thoughts, because we talk about it a lot, but today it's 25 years. It's a generation.
Yeah.
25. And just think, I have a weird way of, like, 25 years ago, like my mother was alive. I talked to her during the game. Yeah. So you talk to people during the game and things switch and things move on. But it's a moment in Nashville history that should always be remembered, even though they lost the game, should always be remembered.
I'll never forget too. I don't know if you remember these, but the Titans did a ton of promotional things to promote switching to the Titans, being called the Titans.
Oh yeah.
And my mom and my grandparents had these bad call bricks that were like these styrofoam bricks,
right,
that you'd throw at the TV whenever the ref would make a bad call or something. And so I think I still have it. I grabbed that at the end of the Super Bowl. I chucked it. I went from like crying to like pissed off and like all the range of emotions.
Please tell me your mom spanked you.
She did not, but she was like, "It's just a game." I'm like, "It's not just a game."
That's such a great mom thing to say too. It's such a game.
But that was like the first. That might have been the first time that sports hurt me. Like
that's a good one.
That it was like I felt that heartbreak as a sports.
So
fan.
you got to grow. That's why I'm a little bit envious of your kind of generation. You got to grow up with that.
Yeah.
We grew up, watching the Cowboys and Steelers and Raiders and Falcons on TV around here.
Yep.
That was kind of our thing. And you just, you see what happened and just how the city just, if Titans don't come here, there is no, there's no Nissan. There's no big, huge companies. There's no Oracle. There's all that stuff moving in here.
And the Predators too. They came in at the same time.
They did.
If those don't happen, this hotel's not here. Like Nashville's not what Nashville is.
You are correct on all that.
Let
me ask you this. That was Super Bowl 34. It's not the most exciting, because we've had an overtime since then, the Brady Falcons Super Bowl and the Brady and the Seahawks. But at that moment, that was the most exciting Super Bowl.
Yeah. That
was it. Super Bowl 34. There was nothing that came close. The Cowboys
had a chance to be the first overtime in Super Bowl history.
It did. It came down to the last play of the game.
Yeah.
And there had been a few that had been, the Cowboys and the Steelers games were pretty good. But that was the one, man. That was the one that kind of like, all right, this is something now. And then the Brady one with the Falcons, the Seahawks. I'm not sure. Last year with overtime, too, with the Chiefs beating the 49ers. But that moment, Super Bowl 34, that was the one. It's just unfortunate the Titans came up on the losing end of that.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. What do you remember 25 years ago today? The Titans were in the Super Bowl. Kevin Dyson just 1 yard short of the goal line that would have tied it with the extra point. Not won the game, Jeff Fisher has been on this show and said he was going to kick. He was not going to go for 2 in the win. But
Do you
what
go for it?
I would have. I told when he told us that, I don't know if you remember this. When he told us that off the air, I looked at him and I go, "Are you BSing me?" Or and he goes, "No, I was going to kick." And I go, "I'd have gone for it."
Yeah, because he wanted to give his guys a chance to rest and then play forward in the
Yeah.
overtime. And for us, it's kind of like
They were gassed, man.
were
And that's what
done.
I said. I was like, Jeff, the thing was, that D line was so gassed that I think you would have hit it. And but I get it. I mean, I get the strategy of kicking and then going.
Do you
to overtime.
remember how much time was left on that last play? On the 1st and 10 from the 10, how much time was left? I never looked at this.
Was it like 8 seconds?
6 seconds.
6 seconds?
Yeah. I've once never looked at
Because
that.
there were
Like,
16 left for the miracle, and then I guess 6 for that one.
look at you, man.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll take your calls and texts on that and much more. Chase and Big Joe live at the Omni, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Second and goal. George again. George breaking tackles into the end zone.
For 27 in your programs, number one in your hearts, Eddie George scoring there in the Super Bowl. 25 years ago today, the Titans faced the Rams, then of St. Louis, in the big game. Chasing Big Joe, live at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Hard to believe, 25 years.
And people ask,
And they haven't been back.
people ask why you work out in January, February, and March. If you were to watch Eddie's run, that's why you do the squats in those months, because that's just pure power on power, and Eddie just prevailed on that. That's a hell of a run.
So have you watched that game, like the full game since?
Yeah.
So it was on NFL Network probably a year or so ago, and it was around Christmas time. Willie texted, me, Derek, and we're like, hey, turn on NFL Network, look what's on. And like we all were like, really? Why? Like, why did you tell us that? Because I sat there and watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Like it was the first time that I had watched it, and I got mad all over again. Now that I'm older and understand football better, I was like, the play calling was terrible. Like, it was not a good game for Les Steckel as the offensive coordinator. And it was just like the play calling was terrible in the first half. Eddie was non-existent. They couldn't get anything going with him. And then finally, they just, in the second half, they let Steve throw it more, and he got into a rhythm, and then that let Eddie get into a rhythm, and it was like, okay, here they go.
It took off, yeah. I love watching these old Super Bowls. I watch them all the time.
I know, but it's just like that one. And Derek was the same. Derek was just like, really? Like, Del Greco missed a field goal, and he's like, he makes that, we win.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. I mean, 25 years ago.
No.
Just nuts.
This is a text that I think everyone can relate to.
Okay.
1978. The only good thing that came from that Super Bowl L is that Dad let me drink a sad beer. Not of drinking age at the time, but he let me have one like one of the guys, and I'll always remember that.
From that Titan Super Bowl?
Yep.
Wow.
And look, we've probably all, had those moments with a parent or something. It's like, okay, you're not quite there, but come on.
What's the first Super Bowl memory you have growing up? Because you were born in what year? 87?
87. What was the one that Michael played? It was the Packers. It was the one that Favre won. Was that Packers and Patriots?
96, yes.
And Parcells?
Yep.
Holmgren versus Parcells? That one.
Okay.
So 96, yeah.
What stands out? So one play that stands out?
No, Reggie White made a big play. And I remember at the end, like the just happiness on the face of Reggie. And I loved Reggie. Reggie was one of my favorite players. So I remember that. I kind of remember the year before because it was the Cowboys.
And Neil O'Donnell, Steelers.
Yeah. That AFC Championship game, Colts with Harbaugh, and that's one of the greatest games I've ever watched.
I mean, he did he catch that ball in the Hail Mary? I mean, it was close.
I thought he did.
So close.
But that was a fun game.
I go back, Lynn Swann making the leaping catch in the Orange Bowl versus the Cowboys in like 75, 76 is the one. That's the one they won 21-17. I'll never forget that. That's my earliest. Then there might be one or two that pop up, but that's the most memorable one because Lynn Swann, we all became Lynn Swann.
Yeah.
We all want to make that catch. We'd all purposely tip the ball up in the air with my 2-inch vertical and try to imitate Lynn Swann. But, I mean, these are iconic moments. It's funny because these people say, well, I'm not going to watch a Super Bowl next week. You're going to watch.
Yeah, you will.
Just stop saying that. You're going to watch. You always
guess
watch.
what? It's probably going to be a great game.
Yeah, you'll watch.
Like, I think the Eagles are going to make this very interesting.
I hope they do. This is the Eagles. They lost in 8 to the Raiders. They beat the Patriots in 17, and they lost in 22. So it's their 4th trip back.
But here's the thing I love about this Eagles team, and it starts with their head coach. They got that pissed off, like, chip on their shoulder. Nobody believes in us. Hold my beer.
Right.
That's just kind of how they are. And the Chiefs are the complete opposite. The Chiefs are going in, hey, we got a chance to three-peat. and Eagles want to play spoiler. You brought up Lynn Swan. Here's the funny thing for me with guys like that. Growing up, Bradshaw and Lynn Swan, I knew them as the commentators. They were the guys on TV. And then when I got older and I started to, actually learn about history of football and stuff like that, I had that moment of I'd go on the internet and watch like clips of Bradshaw and Lynn Swan, and I was like, dang, that old guy, he could throw it like that. That was kind of my. And then it became very apparent to me that, okay, Terry Bradshaw is one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, yeah. But,
now he's a little kooky, but
he is like, well, he was on the team with all. It wasn't his fault that he was drafted to the Steelers, number 1 overall. That's what the whole thing with the Montana.
yeah.
He's under a quarterback. He had Jerry Rice. Is that Montana's fault?
No.
Not his fault that he had those. Super Bowl I, January 15, 1967.
You were there, right?
Green Bay beat who?
Don't tell me. Kansas City?
Atta boy. The LA Coliseum.
Super Bowl II, Green Bay beat. Was it? I think it was it Raiders?
Raiders.
Yeah.
Yep. In Miami. Yep.
Super Bowl III, Jets beat
Colts.
All
right. Before we go to the break, what was the cost of the commercials in the Super Bowl here are going for $8 million for 30 seconds. Cost of a 30-second commercial in Super Bowl I, you got to get it within 2. Well, how much was a 30-second commercial in 1967?
$1,000.
No, $42,000.
Oh, okay.
An estimated 76 million people watched Super Bowl I. It was the highest rated anything on
But
TV ever.
it wasn't called Super Bowl I. Wasn't it called the it was Clark? I think it was Lamar Hunt's.
It was called the AFL NFL World Championship game.
Yeah.
Good job. And then known retroactively as Super Bowl I when gone back and identified the game.
Because the next year I think they called it the Super Bowl, but it was somebody's son had one of those balls, the Super Ball.
It was Clark Hunt or
Was it
Lamar Hunt.
Lamar Hunt. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I thought it was Lamar Hunt.
Yeah, that's right. Look at you, man. I'm proud
Yeah,
of
I
you.
know some history.
Most of those kids' this generation don't care, man, but you do. I like it.
We will get back into this discussion and, even tie it into, are we ever going to see it again? 25 years ago, are we ever going to see it again? But Greg Wyshynski is going to join us. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game on this Thursday. Hope you're having a good start to your day. We say hello now to Greg Wyshynski, senior NHL writer with ESPN, brought to you by Old National Bank. Get old. Greg, good morning. How you doing?
Do the Predators understand we need them to go like 17 games without a loss? Like this,
I know.
we had some mogo and we had the 5 in a row, but it's like, 3 steps forward and 4 stumbles back for this team all season. And I listen, I got to be honest with you. Like I was starting to believe a little bit during that winning streak, but right back to where we were before in the last couple of games.
Well, and I was there last night too. It's the same thing where it's like you watch the game and you see that I mean, they're getting the shots. They're just not the quality shots that are going to get past the goalie. And that's what's so frustrating is like they're bringing the pressure, but they can't score. And like, Thatcher Demko's no slouch by any means, but they had some looks on him last night that I'm thinking this game should be like 4-2.
They got goalied a little bit last night. Like Demko's played pretty well in his last few games. He sort of figured something out after really being very underwhelming for most of the season when he's played for Vancouver because he's missed a ton of time with injury. But you're right, and I'll say this as a ray of sunshine. The numbers nerds at Stathletes, who we work with at ESPN, still have the Predators with a somewhat inexplicable 20% chance of making the playoffs, but yet that is a chance to make the playoffs. And again, the real issue for me and Nashville right now is insofar as any kind of miraculous run to make the cut is the fact that you're basically down to one spot in the West. I mean, even without Rantanen, I think Colorado's a playoff team. You're not catching the other 3 in the Central, which means you're pretty much down to one wild card spot, and it's Vancouver and Calgary and maybe Utah, maybe Nashville, but it's one spot. I mean, if this is musical chairs, we're in the end game now, and I don't know if the Preds are going to be able to overcome the other contenders for that last spot.
So as we enter trade deadline season, and Barry Trotz he comes on our station every week and talks about this stuff, but he's been honest of I want to stay in this as long as I can, but I also know that I have to be realistic and I have to look at the future. Gus Nyquist is a guy that I think a team in contention would love to have right now. What do you think the market is going to be for him, and is there anybody else on Nashville's roster that stands out as a potential deadline move?
Well, we'll start with Nyquist because obviously with an expiring contract, a guy with a ton of experience and a player that is a pretty, even at his age, still a pretty accomplished goal scorer. I do think that there are going to be teams that want to boost their overall offense and let's say in their top 9 with a player like that. But that's a trade where you're looking at, a draft pick at most, or maybe a mid-level prospect at most coming back the other way. The Preds obviously do have one retained salary spot left. They're still retaining on Johansson. They're still retaining on Ekholm. But the Johansson retention goes away after this season. I mentioned that because obviously, Nyquist is one of the few guys that's on an expiring contract. The Predators have a ton of people with term. They have a ton of people that are signed for the next 2 seasons, this one and the next one. And so when you start to get into that conversation of like, if you're going to prune the roster from somebody who has maybe 2 years left on their deal, then you get into that conversation of, okay, well, do you make that trade with retention of salary? Is the low contract number enough for someone to acquire them? And it becomes a more nuanced conversation about how Barry sees this team and whether he wants to double down going into next season or if he thinks there needs to be a more aggressive retooling before the deadline.
Speaking of the Ryan Johansson situation, did you find out any more on that?
I dropped a note to the Flyers and I didn't hear back, which I don't know, that might speak volumes, but no, nothing new. You gave me homework. I guess I could say maybe I read the book but didn't do the report. Maybe we'll leave it there. But I'll circle back with them too. Hey, listen, they got bigger fish to fry than to talk to me, man. They got John Tortorella, playing Mitchkov like 9 minutes a night or whatever over there. So they got to figure out something.
Greg Wyshynski from ESPN is with us.
Greg, is there any collateral damage from this, the Preds not playing up to par? If you other teams looking like, all right, we're going to bring in 2 or 3 big name superstars together from different backgrounds. Will there be some hesitation now, do you think, because this has not gone as planned for the Predators?
No, I think every team's got their own plan. I mean, I honestly think, I haven't talked to any GMs in particular about this, but I'll go ahead and make an informed speculation guess that when you have a team like Nashville that seemed like they were on the come up, that really got rolling last year and had some good young players and seemed like they had some offensive pop that could use some augmentation, that bringing in the 3 guys that they bought in probably wasn't necessarily frowned upon. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would have loved to have added Steven Stamkos. There's a lot of teams that would have loved to have added Jonathan Marchessault. So I think logically, if you've got the resources from your ownership and you think that you have a chance to shoot your shot, I think it makes sense. And the other thing about it too, obviously, is that, Barry has talked before about playing the long game, about having these guys come in, knowing that there's some bodies in the pipeline they're excited about, and then just trying to maybe like transition over to that, but at the same time also try to contend. So I don't know. I don't think that teams are going to be wary about signing a few big free agents and trying to maybe do what the Predators did, which is take a team on the bubble and see if you can throw some nitro on them and all of a sudden they're winning the race. But it is a cautionary tale about you never know how these things are going to work out when the group does hit the ice.
And that's the thing. I'm nowhere near a hockey expert. I'm just a huge Predator fan, and a lot of friends of mine are as well. And I think the thing is, Greg, is we're trying to wrap our mind around this. Like, how are they not better? And I don't think we've come up with an answer. And it's kind of befuddling and mind-boggling and every other thing you want to use, that why is this team not better? And it just drives us crazy.
Well, it's a combination of a really bad start that I think kind of knocked them on their collective behinds as far as, the feelings that you feel at the beginning of the season. I remember talking to Roman Josi at an event here in New York before the season, right after they had those big acquisitions, and he was beaming. I think this guy really thought that this was going to be a gigantic leap forward for the franchise, maybe to the point where they were a cup contender with the amount of talent they're bringing in. And so when the gears aren't turning in the right direction, when the machine is malfunctioning in the way that it did so early this season, I just think it's hard to recalibrate. It's hard to all of a sudden be digging yourself out of a hole. You start doubting yourself. You start doubting the team. You start doubting a lot of it. If what you assume was going to be a pretty fun ride all of a sudden becomes, trudge work to come to practice every day because the team's not good. So, I think the start is the real culprit here. And then, as we mentioned off the top, the inability to really kind of keep the momentum going when they build it. It kind of reminds me of when you're watching like Survivor and they're trying to make a fire,
Right.
what I mean? They get this spark, there's some smoke, they're getting really excited. And then all of a sudden the thing goes out and you're just like, God damn it, we got to try again. So I think it's been that kind of season for the Predators.
I laugh at this. Anytime a team goes to the fans to name anything, it's usually chaotic. This whole Utah thing with me, Greg, to me, it gets better each day because the names, Mammoth, the hockey club, and the Wasatch, is that correct?
So so to catch everybody up, they tried to go with Yeti and Yetis, and to their chagrin, they discovered there's a company that makes some coolers and beverage containers that is named Yeti. That is pretty ubiquitous. That is something people recognize as a brand. And so, if the Utah Yeti are trying to sell a cup with Yeti on it, that becomes kind of a trademark issue, as the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office pointed out pretty aggressively. So they held a media press conference yesterday that I was a part of to basically announce that they're punting on Yeti. Like, they can't get it through. They couldn't work with the Yeti company to figure out a way for them to use the brand. They love the name, but it's just not workable with someone else having that trademark. So like you said, now we're down to 3 options that the fans are going to vote on at the Utah games beginning last night and for the next 3 home games. And it's Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, which was one of the names that they originally had fans vote on. And it actually was in the top 4, I think, choices before they really went double down on Yeti. And then the Utah Wasatch. Now, what the hell is that? Okay, well, I'll tell you. It's the name of a mountain range in Utah. And basically what they've done is say, look, we've got all this really cool stuff we made for Yeti. We've got logos. We got a big, adorable mascot that's going to be at the games and all this stuff. We can't use the name, so we'll just go with this mountain range name, and then the mascot's a Yeti. That's pretty much what it is. They made up a snow creature that's living in these mountains that is a Yeti, but they can't use the name Yeti, so they're hoping somebody votes for this. If they go with Hockey Club or Wasatch, then it's going to be all the Yeti stuff that they already designed. But if they go with Mammoth, then it'll be like a woolly mammoth, like the big Ray Romano woolly mammoth from Ice Age kind of thing. So that's what we're left with now. I don't know why they couldn't just go with Outlaws at the beginning, which was an awesome name.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now we're done. The problem with Wasatch is that this is my test for any team nickname. If you're drafted by the team, you have to be able to say, "I'm proud to be a blank" when you're drafted. That's why I don't like the Miami Heat. I'm proud to be a Heat. It sounds stupid. I'm proud to be a Wasatch. I don't even know what it means. You can't even shorten it. Terrible name.
I'm with you on that one. You're not going to get any pushback from me on that one. That's fantastic. Greg, appreciate the time as always. We'll do it again next week.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Greg Wyshynski joining us here on the program, as he does every Thursday at 9:30, presented by Old National Bank. Get Old. We'll react to some of that.
What were the Titans' names?
I will look that up because supposedly there's a whole uniform set and a logo and stuff that never saw the light of day.
But didn't they have to get it from the Jet? Didn't the Jets own the Titans' name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll look that up in the break. Chasing Big Joe live at the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025, 1063, The Game. Chasing Big Joe live today from the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. Dr. Nicholas Crane II is at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Is that actually Scooby-Doo or Joe?
I think it might be a little bit of both.
Yeah, going.
Got you, man.
Yeah,
Can't help it. I
I can't help what you got.
get the hiccups sometimes because we're eating this good food down at the.
Appreciate Greg Wyshynski for joining us here on the program, and it's funny to kind of look at what Utah is going through to name their team. Going through 25 years ago today, the Titans were in the Super Bowl, but a couple of years before that, when they had made the decision to drop the name Oilers, I don't remember. Okay, so was that Bud that wanted that, or is that the pressure from the fan base here?
I think it's the pressure of the fan base because they wanted their own identity. And I remember McLean talking about that years ago about, you wanted, look, this is our team now, the citywide, and then keep what's the Oilers down there. Because it was, it's still with the Grizzlies. They still have the name for the Vancouver team,
right.
and so it's like, we don't want to do that. So I think it was a lot of pressure from
the Utah Jazz. You know a lot of jazz musicians out of Salt Lake?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bobby St. Bear was a good guy. No. But you found the list, right?
Yeah. So this was the list that was put out there, and reportedly Fury was the runner-up. I guess the Tennessee, and I wonder if it was Tennessee Fury or Nashville Fury. But that was the runner-up. These were all the names: Renegades, Ambush, Bandits, Blitz, Bobcats, Commandos, Hornets, Tornadoes, Copperheads, Vipers, Commanders, Conquerors, Cougars, a lot of those here.
Yeah.
Generals, Legends, Marauders, Nighthawks, Pioneers, Power, Presidents, Rampage, Rapids, Rattlers or Rattlesnakes, Renegades, River Bandits, Siege, Thunder, Titans.
Good Lord. The Tennessean did an interview with Jim Haslam in 2020, who was on the advisory council for, this is a pretty good article, for the Titans and naming the team. Nick Suss wrote this a year ago. This is a really good article. And it said Commissioner Paul Tagliabue had one rule. An advisory council of 13 prominent Tennesseans gathered to do this. Let's see. Adams wanted to name fitting to Tennessee's values and culture. The franchise set out and searched for a new moniker. Then they went back and asked Haslam about some of these ideas, like Pioneers. He says, I didn't like that at all. That was the idea. Davy Crockett's name. That's why it was thrown out there. The Tennessee Tradition. That was another name. We were big on alliteration, which literally became the Tennessee Titans later on. Fury. I don't remember that one coming up, but it does not sound very good. And then the Presidents. I remember somebody came up with that, and we all said, hey, we were in Washington. And that's it. So 13 people in the committee, which is smart because the odd number, you could break the tie. But again, it came alliteration. Now, this is an interesting point here. There are 5 football teams in the National Football League that have alliterations. And you can count one that was kind of like, which kind of doesn't really. So what are they?
The teams
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
What are we leaving off here? Going down the list here. People at home are screaming at us.
Well, is the one you kind of count San Francisco 49ers?
Do you? You could because you count Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Seattle Seahawks.
Seahawks.
You're looking at me. It'd be easier if we pulled up.
I know. I'm trying to think through.
Those are the ones. Hold on. I pull this up here. They're right now. Well, of course, the computer's not working here, which is always good for things like this.
I also find it interesting the ones that are the state as opposed to the city, like the Arizona Cardinals, Tennessee Titans, Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers.
Carolina Panthers was smart because
you
just want to get Charlotte and do all that, and then boom, there you have it. There. Let me go down here. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seattle Supersonics and Seahawks and all that. Ones
Yeah.
with being named that way. Just crazy. There's more into it. Just dropping a football team or a team in your city and going for it, and that's what you have.
Well, when the St. Louis Rams were in, located in St. Louis, they used to be called the Cardiac Cardinals. Or how about that?
Well, that was actually the Cardinals
Yeah,
franchise.
before they moved to Arizona, that is.
That team's moved. They were the Chicago Cardinals,
Yep.
then St. Louis, and then finally, and then Phoenix, and then Arizona.
Yeah, that's right.
I got some old St. Louis Cardinals football, I guess, memorabilia from my grandparents when they lived in St. Louis. It's pretty neat.
That was an interesting football team back then because they had Dan Deerdorf and Conrad Dobler, and they were never really, because they were playing against the Cowboys all the time and the Redskins. They were kind of an afterthought. Good times back then.
Very good times. I do want to, as we go to the break at the end of the first hour, do want to just, we're thinking about everybody in the DC area. Just an awful tragedy accident last night with a helicopter colliding with a passenger plane. It doesn't look like, according to reports, that there are survivors in this. Obviously, a lot of investigating is going to happen, and what exactly went wrong there. That the helicopter would collide into the plane, but
Yeah,
certainly
awful.
we're thinking about everybody. Thoughts and prayers for sure, and just awful getting that news last night and continuing to watch it today. We'll have more coming in hour number 2 here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. We're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes here on this Thursday. Breaking news, and I'm going to be honest with you. I found out about this about an hour or so ago, and I have been very excited about it. But this just coming out, former Governor Bill Haslam and his wife Chrissy, they have partnered with some other people to submit a bid to the WNBA for a franchise here in Nashville. So look, if this all goes through, another pro sports team looks to make its way to the Music City. This just coming out. The Predators obviously, helping put this out there, but Bill and Chrissy Haslam and their partners wanting to do this. Some of the quotes are as follows. Chrissy and I are very pleased to lead this effort to bring a WNBA team to the city of Nashville and the state of Tennessee. We recognize the emergence of professional sports for women across the globe, at the same time observing the void in our state. We believe a WNBA team based in Nashville could serve as a beacon for girls and women, young and old, across Tennessee, while also creating more opportunities for sports fans as our community continues to grow. In building this new franchise, we will take inspiration from the Nashville Predators and its community-first approach in running the business. This WNBA team will establish itself as a mainstay in Nashville and communities throughout the state of Tennessee. The name, the Tennessee Summit, in honor of the late, great Pat Summitt.
Oh, there'll be no argument from anyone on that. My goodness.
Her son, Tyler, commented, as a fierce competitor, my mom was proud of the Lady Vols championships and success, but she was also a huge advocate for women's sports and women in leadership. That was Tyler's. Oh, I know she would be proud and honored to be included in the expansion of women's professional basketball in Tennessee. Some of the other partners that are involved in this, some names you've probably heard of: Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Candace Parker, the former Lady Vol, and former University of Tennessee quarterback Peyton Manning.
Well,
can't
go wrong. No, I'm just saying. You talk about heavy hitters. I mean, you some heavy hitters right there.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. That and look, there's been rumors for a while that the WNBA, they're expanding. They've just had an expansion draft for a franchise, and that Nashville was kind of on the list. To do that. It's this is a process. I mean, there's no guarantee, I guess, that it's going to happen yet, even though I would think.
Is it May to August, or wasn't there season?
Yeah, it's the summer, so it's kind of after the NBA.
Perfect.
2028 would be the target to start playing at Bridgestone Arena. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you just got to get the team. You have the place. You know where you're going to play.
Peyton Manning, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, and the Haslams.
And Candace Parker.
Yeah. I mean, that's just.
And the logo.
it's already a success.
The logo is pretty cool.
What's the logo? Where are you seeing all this? You tweet it out for us, buddy?
No, they've tweeted it out.
Okay.
I can't pick my computer.
Don't worry about it.
Turn around. But it's got the blue that was always a part of the Lady Vols.
The light blue?
Yeah, that light blue, and then kind of the gold, the Predators gold, similar to that. But very, very cool that this is out there. So the WNBA could be coming in, which then Tennessee could have an NBA and WNBA team, the NFL, the NHL, MLS. Only one missing.
It ain't happening, brother.
No, it's happening.
It's not.
You're going to be so wrong on that.
It's not happening. I mean, you got to build a whole. Where are you getting the money for the stadium? You just gave the most money ever in America to the Tennessee Titans to build that stadium. Public money.
Somebody's going to have to pay for it. Like, it's not going to be us. Like, I get that. And you're right there.
City's going to be involved. We were told we were going to pay the Titans stadium.
You'll get a billionaire that will. I mean, because I think the most logical thing that's going to happen is the Rays are going to move here.
They're building a new stadium.
No, they're not. Well, it's up in the air.
They're not. You want them here? I mean, that stadium's going to cost $3 billion. Who's going to build that?
Okay.
And you're not getting public money.
If I had $3 billion, I'd build it.
You'd build a baseball stadium. Crazy, man. I love
Absolutely.
you, man, but you're crazy.
Absolutely.
I'm-
Oh, it'll be fun to watch you be wrong.
It's not happening.
You're going to be wrong.
in the next. It's not happening in the next 10 years.
You are going to be wrong.
I've always said I'll be dead at 66, and that's in 10 years. It's not happening.
I hope you're long.
Thanks.
Hope you're still around.
But I'm telling you, man, it's not. Major League Baseball's not coming here. It's not.
Well, the WNBA hopefully is.
Good.
That's happening.
That's great. You got a place to play, the perfect time over there. I'm sure it's not $3 billion. I think it's the perfect thing, perfect ownership setup. It's great, man. But you just gave hundreds of millions to build that Titan Stadium when the NFL could write a check today to cover every penny of that stadium in all 32 cities, right? That's why I don't want to live in Davidson County anymore, because you're giving this money to the Titans building that stadium. Ain't
Yeah.
happening, man. Get me out of here.
A couple of
Give me mad,
texts. Mike says, our text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. I love the name for the new WNBA team. Are they going to be in Nashville? Yes, Bridgestone Arena, right here in downtown Nashville.
Good.
So
How many games did they play in the season?
I don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's 82 like
No.
the NBA,
I don't
but
know.
I'm not sure. I mean, look, we got some time to learn. There's some great athletes, and like here's the other thing. I think now that you have a generational superstar like Caitlin Clark to kind of be the face, and I'm not saying that there haven't been superstars before, but they need that face to build around that people want to watch. Therefore, bringing a TV deal to the WNBA so these players can make good money,
Dr.
because
Crane
otherwise
says-
they're wanting to go over and play overseas.
Yeah, 40 regular season games.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Crane.
But, girls basketball in Tennessee is huge. Rick Insel, what he did at Shelbyville, what he does at MTSU, they're not the Lady Commodores, I apologize. The Vanderbilt women's basketball team,
Yeah.
ranked in the top 25. They're good. Of course, the history of the Tennessee Lady Vols and Pat Summitt. This makes perfect sense.
So, I mean, I love the name Summit, in honor of Pat. So, that may not mean as much to people that, haven't been here and, lived here and stuff. But I think that was a very nice tip of the cap to an absolute legend.
Yes, and I've told the story before. I'll tell it real quick. Only 2 times in my life have the whole room gone quiet. Once when Jim Brown came into a room we were at, and then once when the Lady Vols were practicing at Trevecca, and Pat Summitt walked into the gym. She to me superseded Jim Brown, Pat Summitt, just because there was a hush and a respect and a reverence and a just, oh my gosh, that's Pat Summitt when she walked in over there, and couldn't have been any nicer to us.
I never got the chance to meet her. But I'll tell a quick story on behalf of my friend. So my friend Amber went to UT and was in broadcasting and stuff, and she told me a story one time that she was doing a story on Pat, and had gone through the SID and everything to get an interview, and something came up, practice ran later, something came up, and it couldn't happen or whatever. And, so she's like, okay, I get it. Well, she's sitting in her car, her phone rings. She answers, it's Pat Summitt. And Pat goes, I'm so sorry, I missed you. I'll give you anything you need, which, just let me know. And gave her, just that's
Who
what
does
she
that,
did.
right? Who does that?
It's like, she didn't have to do that, but that's Pat. And I've heard multiple stories like that she was fierce, and her players were respected her but were scared to death at the same time.
Oh yeah.
She had that stare that my grandmother used to love watching the Lady Vols, and they'd show Pat with just that stare down to one of her players, and my grandmother gets so excited, like, oh, here we go, they're going to start their run now because Pat's mad.
Right. There was I saw a thing this weekend about, she was talking, there was a clip about when her son got cut from the high school basketball team, He said, I went home expecting some sympathy from my mom, and she said, you know why you got cut? You didn't work hard enough. I was like, yes, yes. The love of like, all right, I'm sorry you got cut, but here's why you got. How many parents do that?
Yeah.
My mom be like, oh, that's okay, honey. Try again. You're better next time. She's like, you didn't work hard enough. And he's like, you know what? I didn't work hard enough. That's exactly what it was.
I mean, so many stories like that for sure. So the Tennessee Summit, that is the name of a potential WNBA team, as the Haslams are leading a group to submit a bid to the WNBA for an expansion franchise that would begin play in 2028 at Bridgestone Arena. Very, very cool. And now we just kind of live out the process and see what happens. I mean, I remember going through this with soccer and obviously with the Predators, and it's crazy if this all happens like I think it's going to. The only team that was a relocation would be the Titans. Everything else has been homegrown.
That's right. I know I'm going to win the argument about baseball because when Nick Barris, who's a big fan of our show, weighs in, says, it ain't happening. You're right, and I don't want to pay for it.
Thank you, Mick.
And that's when Mick Barris lays the hammer down, he lays the hammer down.
Look, I'm just gonna say this. I cannot wait for the day you're both wrong.
How do you think this is going to happen? There's no corporate money right now is dried up in Nashville, right? It's dried up.
Sure.
Unless Oracle's going to build a new stadium, then you got to get a team, Chaser.
If a team wants to come here, they're going to have to build the stadium. But I think like a team like the Rays, that things are in such a disarray down there, no pun intended.
Love it.
Down there, they were going to, I mean, I think things were on track for them to build a stadium, and then the hurricane happened and, absolutely destroyed the Trop. And so that changed things.
Now, I'm with you on getting, if the Rays want to move, because you know why it would be good for us?
Why?
Which division?
Yankees and Red Sox here every year.
Yeah, there you go.
You do a interleague home and home with the Braves. I mean, you're golden.
Yeah, I'm good with that. If the Rays, but they ain't.
I would prefer a team to move here and not have an expansion team. That's just me. And I think you need to be American League.
You know where? One city that Nashville should be afraid of? Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Salt Lake, and then I could see Charlotte maybe getting a team.
Yeah.
They're going to expand. I mean, I think all the leagues are going to expand.
The talent level is so awful when you get down.
Doesn't matter. I agree with you. I don't think you're wrong, but I think the NHL and the NHL and the NFL are all at 32. I think 34 happens for both. NFL could even. I could see the NFL even adding 4 teams.
What league's at 30? One league left at 30?
NBA and baseball.
Okay.
They're both at 30.
I mean, NFL, the talent level's so – look.
It's bad. No,
there's about 8 good teams, and there's like 24, which are awful.
Yeah. I'm not going to dispute that, but
NFL expands globally. 2 more globally. Wait and see.
London and either Mexico City or Germany. I think it's what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But yeah, I don't think you're wrong there.
And those teams will play I saw a breakdown like they'll be at home for 2 weeks, then they come over here for 2 weeks, then back over there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And on and on and on. But I don't see baseball coming here. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just don't see it. I don't think people here for 10 years don't want to put any more money up there when
I get
been
that.
to our schools, metro schools lately?
Yeah, no.
Hell, most of them are falling down.
Yeah.
And these teachers deserve a lot more than what they're getting right now. A lot more. Instead of hundreds of millions going over to a stadium which could pay for itself. That's where I get mad.
Yeah.
That's where I get mad when this city is neglecting so many high schools and middle schools. And I'm not on a soapbox, but I see it all the time, man. They need help. And we're just throwing millions away.
You are, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, I sure. I think it totally needs to be addressed. That's why I'm saying like a billionaire is probably going to have to come in here and build it himself, buy the land or work a land deal with the city and and then build the stadium.
That's why this WNBA thing I love.
Yeah.
Bridgestone,
Well, you already got a spot.
get good ownership, seemingly,
Yeah.
and everything else is good from that moment on. But I can't go on board, man, with the stadium. I can't.
They might get mad at me for this, but can Governor Haslam buy the Titans too? That would be great.
He's got the money.
Look. I
Would
like
you
him a
want to
lot.
buy a pro football team? I wouldn't.
I
I
tell you,
wouldn't.
if I was going to buy a franchise, I'll tell you what I would buy. Coming up next,
All right.
Chasey Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Thursday. Again, if you missed it, Governor Bill Haslam, his wife Chrissy, and their ownership group have submitted a bid for a WNBA franchise to begin play in 2028 at Bridgestone Arena, the Tennessee Summit women's basketball team. So very, very cool to see that. You asked me, would I buy an NFL franchise?
Yes.
Well, I don't have $6 billion lying around because that's probably the starting point of where it would take. You know, and that's the thing about the NFL. The NFL is getting to a point where there's probably maybe 100 people on this planet that could just cut a check for an NFL team by themselves.
Okay. That's not the question, though. What would you buy?
I would buy a AA baseball team. The Jacks.
Where?
I don't know. Some little town that doesn't have much, and just go and have fun. Build a nice AA stadium, kind of like they have there in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge.
I like this.
And you know, just kind of be like Larry Schmittou was back in the day with the Sounds.
I like this. I'd Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
Give me a single A team in Myrtle Beach.
Pelicans. Probably be a good name
Pensacola.
for
I got to be tropical. Key West. I'll put a team in Key West.
that. There you go.
Build a team in Key West. I mean, the stadium doesn't have to be
The
massive.
Key West Buffets.
Key West Dugans. My team. I'm naming the team after me, man. I like that. There's not. I mean, but isn't baseball trying to buy up some of the minor league teams?
It's not like it used to be,
right.
but that has always been my answer to
I like this.
to that question of just a AA. I mean, even maybe a AAA, but just a minor league baseball team, and just
Now,
make it affordable.
Would you sit with the people or one of your little high boxes up there?
I'd sit with the people.
Left field, bandbox.
Yeah. Sit out in the left field.
Just chill.
I'd build a special area for you to go take a nap in left field, which is what I know you like to do.
I love it because nothing puts me to sleep faster than baseball.
Well, here's the funniest thing. So when I first started working here and got to know JoJo, you know, he would tell me, like, he'd be leaving the station, like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the Sounds game. The Sounds had like a Wednesday afternoon game or something at Greer Stadium. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. And I got off work, and so I decided to do the same thing. Went over there, and I mean, basically walked in, and so I'm on the main concourse, and I look out, and I guess it was left field, and I see Joe just asleep, taking a nap.
I'm telling you, man, baseball on TV is boring enough, but baseball like that, oh, it's sunny and nice. I'm out, man. I am crashing every single time. But I like this idea. But also like to have it somewhere like in Idaho in the summer. I mean, there's all these different things you could do with this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I could find Jackson. Does Jackson still have a team? I actually don't think they do.
No.
All right, so I'd probably go to Jackson.
Stadium's there, though.
Because they got a stadium. So I'd probably go to Jackson, Tennessee, AA team, and I'd bring back the historic name Diamond Jacks because I think that's a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Now you got me thinking, man.
I don't have many good ideas, but you like that one.
I'm trying to see I want to see the logo. I can't find the logo for this WNBA team.
Here.
Don't do that. No, just send me where I need to go.
There you go.
Okay. All right. It's not bad.
The Tennessee Summit is what they would be called. Sean Henry scheduled to join us tomorrow, so we'll be able to talk to him about this. And he can kind of explain maybe the process, because it's my understanding that this would be, even though the Predators are kind of helping with certain things, Haslam is involved in the Predators. These are two separate entities.
Okay.
That they would put together. So very, very, very cool to kind of see how that all unfolds. And you know what? I think our next guest could probably have some good comments on this, because he has seen this city and the sports landscape in this city change a whole lot in his day. The legendary Rudy Kalis to join us coming up next. 25 years ago, the Titans were in the Super Bowl. We'll talk to him about that and much more. Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, live at Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025, 1063 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game here on this Thursday. We're live at Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Tune in to 93.3. Totally Hits. Totally Nashville tonight as MTSU takes on New Mexico State at the Glass House, the Murphy Center. Tip off at 6:30, pregame at 6. You can also listen on the Totally Hits Nashville app, totallyhitsnashville.com.
We are efforting Mr. Kalis.
He's a busy man, but we're going to get him. He will come on with us shortly
All right. I am working it right now behind the scenes.
while we listen to Welcome Back, Kotter, I guess.
What
Is
a
that this
great show.
It's a great show.
You know what high school that show that show took place in?
I do not.
James K. Polk High School.
Huh.
Little trivia fact there for you.
Well, there you go.
Named of the president from Columbia.
We're the show that teaches you stuff.
Not well, but we do. All right, so we're efforting Rudy because 25 years ago today, the Tennessee Titans played in the Super Bowl. 25 years ago. So I just want to talk to Rudy because he started here in the mid-'70s, and the idea of a NFL team coming here was you'd be placed in a mental institution.
Yeah.
You would have.
The first 10 years of my life, like, it wasn't even a thought. And then I started seeing these yellow signs that said NFL yes in everybody's yard. And even then, like, my dad and I were kind of like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen. Like, we're not a big league town, you know.
No,
And
I voted no on it because I saw what all the city was going to give to Bud Adams. I'm like, nobody deserves that.
Yep, but they did.
Boy, was I wrong.
The legendary Rudy.
Realize till you text me, it is exactly the day of the 25th or the 25 years for that Super Bowl. Yikes.
What do you remember about that? I mean, obviously that season was so special with the first year being the Titans, the new stadium opens, they go 13-3, the Music City Miracle, all of that happens. What do you kind of remember about when you realized that the Channel 4 sports department is going to have to cover Titans in the Super Bowl?
I know. That whole year, I thought Jeff Fisher, and I've told him several times, the best thing he ever did was it's us against the world. When they were in Memphis and nobody came there, people in Memphis didn't want them. Then they played at Vanderbilt. It was always circle the wagons. Then they won every single home game at home, and they were dynamite. And he was low-keying and trash-talking to Jacksonville, the Music City Miracle, and all of that. All of a sudden, we're going to the Super Bowl. We just rolled with this kind of stuff. I remember that week because obviously everybody's down there all the week and stuff. And they had 2 ice storms, and they had the press conferences in a tent, and the wind would whip through that tent. You could see your breath inside the press conferences. And said, this is crazy to be inside of this place. And then it got to game day, and I can remember they set off fireworks before the game. And it was like looking through a fog, waiting for a destroyer to come through from World War. You couldn't see the stuff on the field. I said, wait a minute, are they going to wait for this thing to clear before they kick off? Because the ball went up into the smoke and then comes back down. But, off they went, and then they played. And at first, I remember sitting there watching. I said, oh, they're getting smoked. The defense was playing good, but they give up 3 field goals, and I think they're outgained like 290 to 80 in the first half. They go down 16-0, and this is awful. Del Greco has a kick that's blocked. And all of a sudden they come back. I'm telling you, just sitting there, and I think you're the same way. We watch a lot of games. We don't cheer in the media. You don't do any of that. But this was one of those games where my inside starts to turn, and I can feel the pressure of this is the Super Bowl. You were around. I think you felt the same way. And then McNair comes back. And then, they get the touchdown. That one run that he made where he almost got sacked and threw it to the 10 to set up Kevin Dyson, and cameras are down there. We're down there in that corner, and then he comes 1 yard short. It just, man, what adrenaline. And I'm rambling, but I suppose he asked me to. But I feel like that moment, I think the play was perfect. It was supposed to go to Wycheck, who was supposed to draw them down the middle. And if I'm not mistaken, I think his linebacker's name was Mike Jones. All of a sudden turned and saw Dyson and grabbed his ankle and stops him a yard short. And then all this confetti comes down, and your heart just sinks. I remember Bruce Matthews, the great lineman, walking off the field with this look of dejection on his face, and all of the guys, while the celebration is going on. Man, it was heart-stopping, Joe. It was quite an event to be there. And then we thought they'd be back every year. Little did we know, right?
I know, Rudy, this is Chase, and I kind of wonder if there was a specific moment for you where you had been here for so many years doing sports, and for a long time your sports cast involved Vanderbilt or, Tennessee or the Sounds or whatever, that it kind of clicked that things had shifted and Nashville had become a big time sports town. Was it the Super Bowl run, or was it something before that?
I can remember it because we'd heard all that stuff about the possibility, and literally, I'm dismissing it. Memphis had tried so hard. They had the Grizzlies. They wanted a team. They hated Nashville. They wanted a team. And I remember we were in Knoxville and driving back. I'm trying to recall. I guess it was a football game, and word comes that this thing with Bud Adams is going down. We're going to have a team. We literally had driven all the way back to Nashville and turned around in the middle of the night and drove back, because the Redskins were going to play a preseason game there in Knoxville, and Bud Adams was coming. So bleary-eyed, we're there. Bud Adams comes through, interviews, and I'm going, this is crazy, but this seems real. and off we go, because you're so right. We spent all those years with the Vols, with Vanderbilt. Of course, Predators were around that same time then with the Titans, but it just changed everything. And Joe knows the dynamics of the local sports television changed. You had to feed the big dog. The Titans were top of the line. We even got less time, but had to do more Titans, and it went to the detriment of so many other fine programs, I thought. Don't you, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. And that leads to the hypothetical, Rudy. What if they would have won that Super Bowl? How would this city and everything be viewed differently? I know they got there, but it's the great hypothetical of the what if, because they were so close, Rudy.
Well, yeah, you're right. They got it. The parade they had was pretty astronomical as well. They're coming down there despite the fact that they lost, but people congratulating them, and this city would have exploded. But and seeing the players, and literally, and then they had another team. I think the year after that, Jeff Fisher said, "I think we had a better team," but it didn't happen. You realize how tough it is to get. I think Steve McNair is the toughest athlete that I've ever been around. I don't know everybody. I don't know all that sort of stuff. But I think you may recall Steve Watterson, the strength coach, told me that he missed 5 games during that year, that Super Bowl year, with a disc issue. And Neil O'Donnell comes in and wins 4 out of 5 games. But I remember Watterson telling me, "You want to know how tough McNair is? He needed a root canal, and he didn't want to miss practice. He had a root canal in his tooth without anesthesia because he wanted to come back." Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
That hurts me right there. Rudy, what was your first year in Nashville?
1974.
What was the first story you covered then? You remember?
One of the first interview I did with Ken Dugan, Lipscomb baseball coach, came to town. But about 3 days after that, I went down to, I think it was Columbia, because Jack Nicklaus was doing an exhibition. He did some promotion work for Murray of Ohio, and he was playing an exhibition round of golf. And I run down there with a cameraman, and the thing he did, which blew me away, there were 100 people or so. It was sort of a courtesy thing. The last hole was about a 320 par 3, and he said, "All right, let me let one out for you guys in the last hole." And he drives the green with the old wooden driver, then comes over, and his attendant or whoever says, "Would you like to interview him?" Well, yeah. Jack Nicklaus walks towards me, and maybe 100 people gather around, and I'm shaking in my boots. I mean, this is 1 week, and I'm here, and here's Jack Nicklaus in front of me. I don't even know what I asked him, but it was real. And I said, "Buddy, you're going to have to settle down. There might be a few more of these people in your life." I may have told you in '75, Muhammad Ali came into Nashville after beating George Foreman. He was coming through, and I got a chance to interview him. And he walked into a room with an entourage of people, and wow, the champ! He just came. He won all over again. And I stuck my hand out and said, "Champ," and he gave me this little dead fish handshake, and I said, "Oh man, Champ, I thought you could." No, he said, he held his hands up. He said, "No, baby, I don't squeeze with these. These keep me looking pretty."
I wanted to ask you though, Rudy, when the Titans came here, the city became part of an exclusive club. And I was just starting my TV career. You'd already been here 25 years or whatever it was. What did that do? What do you think that did for the city? Because you become part, only 32 cities have this. What did this do for Nashville, do you think?
It made them big time. But, I worked in Green Bay for 2 years before, and the mystique and the love of Green Bay, a small town that the city literally owns the team. You come to Nashville and the Titans, and then, of course, we get the Predators now, too. It was amazing to realize how we had become big town. Downtown, which you remember, was a sleepy little place. You had Printer's Alley was about it. Otherwise, you didn't want to go downtown after dark. And all of that changed when you become a part of that and you get national attention. And then they go from the Tennessee Oilers to the Tennessee Titans in the name. And I think the reason they put the word Tennessee instead of the Nashville Titans was because they wanted Memphis to feel better. This is a state team instead of, they didn't want to alienate those poor folks in Memphis because
Right.
they didn't get what they had been dogging for all these years. But it just changed everything to have national media come in. And then, good Lord, when they literally, I remember a game in, at Memphis, and when they played in Nashville or at Vanderbilt, that hard floor, and the stands were not full, but this was not big time. But when Nissan Stadium, as it's called now, opened up, we walked in and this was like the Taj Mahal, we thought.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy Kalis is on the line with us. Rudy, I want to ask you, I'm not sure if you've seen the news that just came out, but former Governor Bill Haslam, who's obviously now part owner of the Predators, has submitted a bid for a WNBA team to come to Nashville. They would be called the Tennessee Summit in honor of the late, great Pat Summitt and play at Bridgestone Arena. We talk about 25 years ago being in the Super Bowl with the Titans, and a few years before that, the Preds and Titans coming to town. Now it looks like yet another pro sports team is coming to our city. Got to be pretty cool. What do you think?
I absolutely. I think it's a perfect timing for that just because of, and some people may hate it because of Caitlin Clark and what she did for women's basketball. I last year watched more women's basketball, not only her games, but all of them than I did in my whole lifetime. I said, they handle the ball. They may not be slam dunking, but it's a perfect time for that. And there are little rivalries, her with Angel Reese's and all the little stuff. It's a perfect time for women's. I think women's basketball will be more embraced in Nashville than, let's say, if you got an NBA team. Just my thought with that, because it's a little more.
NBA did not like that.
I guess not. We lost Rudy.
That's all right. It's okay.
It's okay. Well, we appreciate. I wanted to hear more of that, but we appreciate Rudy for coming on the show. I thought that was us for a second.
He makes a good point. I mean, I'm with him. I think because of Pat Summitt and how popular girls basketball is, that would be a better thing. I mean, NBA would be popular. I get all that, but this is very cool.
But I mean, now like the NBA is never going to be here in Nashville because they're in Memphis. So, which is fine. I think that's. We might have Rudy here to wrap things up. Give Dr. Crane a second.
Give Dr. Crane a second, baby.
All
right. Okay, we're back.
There you are, Rudy.
Oh, I don't even know where in all that dialogue I got dumped out.
You just talked about the more popular than the NBA coming here.
I think so, because the NBA right now is and I love hoops and that, but it's all threes. It's all threes, and their ratings are declining. And I love Steph Curry, and he changed the game. But I think there's a rise and an increase in people are realizing the quality of women's basketball, and they're going between their legs, behind their back, they're making the moves, they're hitting the buckets. And again, they can dog her all they want, but it's because of Caitlin Clark that she brought attention to all these other great players. And I think it's a perfect thing for the city right now.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
No, I agree. I mean, it's great. And you get the backing of Peyton Manning and Candace Parker and Bill Haslam and Tim McGraw. It all works out great. So I think the ground level is perfect right now. Hey, real quick before we go, I know you're passionate about what you're doing now. Tell the folks what you're doing now, but because I love it and you're changing lives, Rudy. And I think the world of you, and I love you to death. Tell folks what you're doing now.
Well, I'm in the parking lot at Riverbend Maximum Security Prison. I've now been retired not from full-time, but for 7 years. But I'm here 5 days a week. I'm a volunteer that comes in here. And the amazing thing, which we talk about in sports, I've met several guys that said I covered them when they were stars in high school and some in college. And I said, what happened to you, man? Got involved with drugs or anger or shot somebody or whatever it is. So my theory is if you can change a man's heart, you can change his life. And I'm just trying to speak some life into these guys. And I'll literally say to you, I love what we did and I love sports and all of that, but I spent 45 years in broadcasting just to teach me how to communicate. But I think this is what I was meant to do. I'll do this until the good Lord says that's enough.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's great. Rudy, thank you. I mean, again, I cannot express what you mean to me and to Chase as well. So it's always good to talk to you, and thank you for everything.
Well, you kind of invite me. Chase, Joe, I've loved you for a long time. I love what you're doing, my friend. So thanks for just inviting me.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Rudy Kalis joining us here on the program, an absolute Nashville legend from Channel 4 back in the day. Appreciate him for joining us here on the show. We'll have more coming. We'll have more coming here on the Chase and Big Joe show, including What Day Is It and celebrity birthdays, live in the Omni, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game here on this Thursday. Vandy women's basketball, they're back in action tonight on 94.9 The Fan as they take on Florida. Pregame at 5:45, tip at 6 o'clock. You can also listen on the Game Nashville app or at thegamenashville.com. Vandy women's basketball is presented by Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball. Coming to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium February 5th through March 2nd. Go to auprobasketball.com for more details and to purchase tickets. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays.
All right, gentlemen. First on the list. It's a short list, but first on the list, we have National. You all right, Joe?
No, that was I literally was trying to get to the toss so I could sneeze.
Oh,
My
I thought
Lord.
somebody snorted. I was like, are you
That-
okay?
I think that registered on the Richter scale.
Probably.
Oh, man. We have National Croissant Day to start it off.
I love croissants.
National Escape Day. So if you want to escape,
Try to do that every day.
to a
Every
beach,
single
there you
moment.
go. Yep. This one is going to be a tough to pronunciate, but National Inane Answering Message Day. So whatever inane is, I don't know. School Day of Nonviolence and Peace, as always.
Yeah.
Yodel
Especially
for
now.
your, and it says Yodel for your neighbors day. So Joe, I don't know if you yodel for your neighbors or Chase, but I don't do that.
Here's the thing. All right. Remember when you got a car and like it'd go off like beep, 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 like, oh my God, somebody's stealing your car. Now, if it goes off, you scream at your neighbor to turn that off while his car is being stolen. So that's my yodeling.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
all I
thank
have
you.
here for what day is it? So
Well,
on to you,
you
Joe.
know what? That was great.
Well, thank you.
That's perfect timing there, Dr.
In my
Craig.
Jim
All right,
Nance voice.
time for celebrity birthdays. You have to get these within two. Our first birthday, the original Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman. How old is Gene Hackman today?
Oh, 85.
82.
95 years old.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yep. The great actress Vanessa Redgrave. Her daughter Natasha Richardson was also an actress. Vanessa Redgrave.
82.
73.
88 years old. 88 years old. Singer Phil Collins, who we absolutely love and adore. Phil Collins.
Played the halftime show of Super Bowl 34.
He sure did.
Phil Collins, I'm going to say 74.
70.
74 exactly. Chase your nose is Sis Studios.
Bingo.
Next up, actor Christian Bale.
53.
48.
51. Chase up 3-0. By the way, American Psycho with him.
Oh, yeah.
You just recommend not watching that because it's crazy. Wilmer Valderrama from that 70s show. He's also one of those NCIS Rayon City shows, whatever.
Oh, yeah. He's good on there. 46.
42.
45. This is Chaser's week, man. 4-0 already.
Well, Greg
Fox
Maddox
New-
in the outside corner.
Fox News is calling it already for Chase. Country singer Jenny Pruitt lives here in Nashville.
Any kin to Jeremy Pruitt?
Let's hope not.
All right. I'm going to say, I have no idea who she is, so I'm going to go 47.
49.
Jeannie, come on. She's already 70. That's the given. She's 88 years old. Actor Charles Dutton. He was in Rudy. He was in Iraq. Great episode of Miami Vice he was in. Charles
Yeah.
Dutton.
83.
80.
74. Comedian Brett Butler, not the baseball player.
58.
65.
67. Dr. Crane's on the board. It's 4-1. Singer Jody Watley. Sorry.
Are we okay over there?
You feel
We're
better?
not. We're not. Jody Watley.
73.
80.
66. Oh, let's go down a few more here. All right, let's get some sports in here. Mets manager Davey Johnson won the World Series in 86.
79.
70.
82. Golfer Curtis Strange.
42.
40.
70.
Uh,
God. NBA announcer player Jalen Rose.
I swear we just did his birthday. Uh,
I think we did too, but it popped up on the birthday list today.
50.
56.
52. And that's it. Chase wins 5-1. You look at Jalen Rose?
Yeah.
Me too.
January 30th. Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay.
Did we have Mark Jackson the other day, maybe?
We had somebody from the Fab Five.
Somebody like
it was
that.
it was somebody from the Fab Five. Maybe that's what it was. That is going to do it for us. By the way, congratulations to our man Derek Mason.
Absolutely.
2025 Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame inductee. We had so much fun surprising him yesterday, and when I knew we were going to do that, I was like, I just hope he is surprised and we do it justice, and I feel like that we did. And so congrats to D Mace. So well deserved. We love you.
Yep.
Obviously you're a part of our family, but we'll forever be synonymous with the city of Nashville and the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, well, that after party with him is going to be fun too. As well.
It will.
We leave every show with you. This message is more important than ever. Some things happened this week to people I know. Again, when you're going through some things, reach out. Please talk to somebody. We talk all the time about dialing or calling 988 on your cell phone. Just please, if you hear this message, please talk to someone. If you're going through anything, please talk to somebody. Remember, we love you, and more importantly in all this, God loves you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. DVD coming up next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.